Hey,
Hello, what's up?
welcome to Worcestery Council Theater, everybody. What's going on?
Oh, not much. I just posted a post on my newsletter and I've been scrambling to share it on all the social medias.
Party?
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's about nothing at all, but like a
A
lot.
Seinfeld post. Nice.
Yeah, it is a Seinfeld post. Yeah, for sure. And now I need to share the fact that I'm on this stream. Oh, hold on. Well, don't hold on.
Well, we could, yeah.
I can talk and
Uh,
I can walk and chew gum. You know what I mean?
we got a big,
Uh,
we got a big meeting tonight.
yes, we have a
just
long meeting tonight.
incredibly long agenda.
Yeah, and
Some huge, huge implications for touching trucks. I think.
yeah, I can't wait for that one. I have no idea. I'm going into that one blind. I don't even want to know what it's about. We're gonna figure it out with context clues as we go.
I mean, I know what a touch a truck program is. I just don't know what Worcester's version of that
So,
is.
what is a touch a truck program?
It's basically you get a bunch of different big trucks and equipment to one place, and then the little kids can come and see them, sit in the seat, honk the horn.
Yeah,
It's technically it's a good thing. It's just a weird thing.
yeah. Well, Sean Rose is really trying to play to his public safety base that secured him the election.
Yeah, he's playing to the grandparent crowd hard right now. So I mean, it's if let's put it this way: if we had a big, robust touch a truck program, and maybe an actual vocational school, then I would feel like things were going in the right direction. But
can I be honest? When you guys were talking about the touch a truck, I thought it was like one of those contests that you had to leave your hand on the truck for longest.
No, that's hands on a hard body, Travis.
Oh, my mistake.
I've had
Didn't you watch Saved by the Bell?
Yeah, like to get my hands on a hard body. You know what I mean? Hey.
A Corvette.
Right. Any comedy.
So, does anything else on the agenda stand out to you as being exceptional?
Plenty. The two big things that I'm going to be interested to see, what's going to happen with the city manager's recommendation to use COVID relief money for body cameras, which is to me just like kind of hilarious how insulting it is.
Shocking in many ways. That one specifically is one of the big reasons we wanted to start early tonight, is because we really do strongly encourage everybody to call in and voice your opinion on the matter. I think it's it's going to be one of those things. They're hoping for zero engagement on it, and they can just run it through, and hopefully people make a big deal out of it. Complain. So there's
we'll see. I mean, defund Worcester Police and the Worcester NAACP already came out and said that they would like it if we didn't do that. So
yes,
I think that there is going to be some pushback on that, but what if the pushback accomplishes anything, then that's up for debate.
Yeah, that's going to be the
the majority of this meeting. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know about that. I don't know if the city council would even get to the point where they would file a motion to reassess it or anything. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it for sure.
Yeah, I'm curious how many calls they get about it. If it's enough to at least get, Christian to make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's enough to, push it back. I mean, honestly, it's one of those things. Like, we need this ARPA stuff figured out as soon as possible, but they're playing to that. They're using that, urgency to try and slide something through so they can score some points with the cops, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've talked about it before, but the way I see it, body cameras are not something that in 2021 we should be making an investment in if we haven't already. And
it's an idea whose time has come and gone in many ways. If they wanted to use the existing budget to buy body cameras and that was the extent of it, then I'm fine with that. But that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to
dip
pull
in
more money in, and then also put all these other perks in to the program. Like, we shouldn't have to pay. And I know that was for the pilot program, but still, there's talk about each officer is going to get a cell phone.
Yeah, right.
For the purposes of their body. It's like, that's just a perk. That's all that is a perk.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it asks you have to ask why the police union has supported it so much,
Yeah. Travis, can you take a look and see what the call-in number is and throw it up as a ticker when you get a second? And we'll just keep an eye on that. I think
we got hold on, I have the agenda pulled up. I'm trying to get to the tax classification thing, because this is a very quirky thing that Worcester has to do, and within the confines of the council, it becomes a huge political football every year, and it's setting the residential and commercial tax rates, and there's some people that want higher residential rates and lower business tax rates with the idea of expanding the tax base. And then there's other people who just every year are going to vote for the lowest residential rate possible, and people campaign on that. And it doesn't go anywhere, but it's always a split vote, and everyone's always talking about it for hours. So we're probably not going to even see a resolution of that debate tonight. But we are going to hear a lot of different opinions from everybody on who should be paying what taxes.
Yes.
And I'm trying to dig into the big meeting packet to see where that document is that says what they always have 3 proposed rates to go off of.
Right.
And then they have to vote on one of them.
Beautiful.
That's the number, and then this is the access code you need once you're in there.
Which what's the item number for the
for the tax rate?
For the body camera stuff.
Yeah,
is that just under the budget?
Let me get that.
Yeah, that should be good, Brian. Oh, hey. Nice hat, Brian.
Oh, hey, thanks, guys. What's happening?
What's up? Wait, hold on. I can't see. Hey, there it is.
Such a political.
I went to Worcester Public Schools job fair, and this is what I got. It was great.
Wow. Did you have to opt out of anything to get that?
No. Opting out, moving towards my GED, I got an OnlyFans hat as a consolation prize. But yeah. Funny thing, I learned this week, both Pornhub merchandise and OnlyFans merchandise, they ship out of the same warehouse in North Carolina.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's how you
save
keep
yourself a few bucks on shipping.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I can safely say that we're all only fans of you, Brendan.
Oh,
Thanks for having me back, guys. Bill, I heard you talking a bit on the budget. You know, I think we're getting to the point. I hope this next council can tackle this a little bit too. We have this really weird system, right, where we put together a tax rate and then we base our budget off of the tax rate, which is like backwards, right? I think, and if you tell me to shut up if you already hit this, but like if
nope,
we had
didn't.
if we had a functioning government, right, like you would put together your community wish list. These are the things that are important to us. We'd tick off all those boxes. And then later you would get to the tax classification hearing. So you could then say, okay, and this is how we're going to pay for these things. But we never actually get to the point where we get to prioritize the things that are important to the community because we spend all our time bickering over the residential and commercial tax rate before we even get into the meat of what we're going to be paying for when we hit that number. Yeah,
it's like the council sees its responsibility more in setting the tax rate,
right?
Which is like an issue that doesn't have to be made contentious or political, right? Like that can be an equation that comes out of the budget's office that is just the number that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it's a wild thing, and I've never, as long as I've been paying attention, I don't understand why we do it that way, except for one, like you said, it creates sort of a false sense of conflict between the multiple parties that are paying into the system. But again, it makes secondary, and this is the part that breaks my heart, the actual budget, like the stuff that we want to be doing. If you went through polled everybody in the city, like what are the top 10 most important things to you? We can't actually get to any of that because there's never enough money, because we decide to do the tax classification first instead of saying, hey, what's important to you?
Yeah, and it's never like the standard way that you run for office in Worcester is you say, I'm going to vote for the lowest residential tax rate possible for our homeowners, right? And that's just like a thing that people in Worcester like understand, but like really don't understand. And they just see it and they go, oh, lowest taxes possible. Good. I like, they don't really understand what that means and where that sits in the greater budget process.
Right.
So it's
and the budget hearing never gets as much attention as the tax classification hearing as well, which is, I mean, I partly get it because it's boring, but it's also the important stuff too. Whereas the tax classification hearing gets tons of attention, but it really doesn't matter. You kind of know where people are going to fall in advance. There's no surprises there.
And even more than that, like you were saying, in a system that worked better and that the community was more involved in, there would be a community wish list baked into the budget.
Right.
But instead what happens is the city council sets the tax rates for residential and commercial property, and then the city manager comes back with a budget proposal, and the councilors then have the power to make line item cuts. But that is just nitpicking a budget which all the priorities have already been baked into.
Right.
It's not, you aren't exercising your like stated authority to have control over like what money gets spent on what. You're letting the city manager do that, and then you're just nitpicking what he comes up with.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what's on my community wish list. Crafty Kombucha, who's our sponsor once again this week. Worcester's other brewery. Great stuff. As always, we want to shout out Matt, Crafty Kombucha. Thank you for sponsoring the show. If you haven't bought Crafty Kombucha yet, go buy it. If the store you go to doesn't sell it, then threaten them with economic sanctions. Not violence. Don't be crazy. So yeah, go out and get you some Crafty Kombucha.
Right here.
Look at that.
Got my swag.
Oh yeah, baby. Buy a t-shirt, buy a hat.
Crafty.
Great merch.
I still have to get my winter hat. I need it.
Yeah, Shaun is holding it hostage.
Yeah, I'll get it from him by one means or another.
Yeah, so we're 5 minutes out here.
Yeah.
Again,
So
go ahead.
I have been pulling out the sort of necessary documents for following along and digging a little bit deeper into some of the big things that they're going to be talking about. Like this is issue. Come on. Communication 11, 11A and 11B are the big ones that we're looking out for tonight. 11A is the necessary budget adjustments to finalize the FY22 budget. And within that is the allotment of ARPA money for body cameras. And then 11B is the tax classification package, which has the 3 numbers in it that the city council is going to argue about for a couple weeks. So I'm going to send along all those links right now, and then Travis can put them in the chat.
Hey, Bill, what were your thoughts on Councilor Calorio's early voting item in there? I have it in front of me. It's not ringing a bell.
I have to read that one again.
So it's Councilor Calorio. She's looking for a report on the cost of administering early voting in our most recent election. This is one of those things that I feel like on its surface, it's a pretty straightforward, like, okay, we should know what this cost. But I think just based on who Calorio represents is fine too. Represents in the city. This is one of those like quietly nefarious things where, because we just had a municipal election, we'll be able to go back and look at early voting and say it was a ridiculous cost relative to the number of votes that were cast.
Yeah.
And then make the argument going into what will be contentious midterms and, more importantly, a presidential election, that we shouldn't waste the money on doing so, even though the numbers in the turnout would be much higher in those future elections. Just one of those things that I know we haven't seen a lot of like crazy school board activity and, you know, weird municipal stuff like many other communities in the country have. But this stood out to me as one of the things that's kind of in that universe.
No, for sure. I mean, like Donna Calorio is like a conservative ideologue and probably would do whatever she could to make it harder to vote in the city. So that's very interesting because if she gets a number from the city manager of how much we spent versus how many votes, and then she can kind of use that as a cudgel to win people over to the argument that early voting is a waste of time. And that might track a little bit. I don't think she'd ever have the political willpower to do anything about it, though. She's kind of on an island. So,
absolutely. Yeah. No, it's just one of those things that stood out as like just kind of gross, right? Again, going to our earlier conversation about like what should we be paying for as a city, but we never get to have that conversation because we only have the amount of money that's in the bank because of the tax classification hearing.
Right.
Like making it easier to vote should never be one of those things that's on the table of potential cuts, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Which is, I mean, that's her bag. That's what Donna Calorio loves. I am very excited to hear her talk about that and see if she can pull off being as cagey as the order reads. Or if she's just going to come out right out and say it and be like, you know, everyone that I talked to who voted on election day. So I don't know why we should be having early voting for those yuppies.
And to answer your question, Brian, no, elections are not cost effective. Absolutely not. We should just get rid of them altogether. More dog parks.
Yeah. I mean, everyone that Donna Calorio talked to voted for Trump. So
yeah. Everyone that Donna Calorio talked to knows that RFK Jr. is real and still alive.
He's just in Dallas. He's right with the guy with the bird on his head.
Yeah. Hey, do you guys remember the Q shaman? That was fun.
41 months, right? Is that what he got?
Yeah. That was
just
fun.
Got sentenced this week. Yeah, it was a good time.
And organic prison food. I love it. It's just like America rocks.
It's a good timeline, guys. I'm glad I got to know you all in this particular timeline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it now it's legal to shoot protesters. So that's
You
good.
shoot anybody that you want. You just gotta be a little scared. Haunted houses are gonna be a bloodbath from now on.
Yeah, you can just you can shoot whoever you want now. We figured out over the past year that it doesn't really matter if you have a president or not. And you can just have a cool old guy who farts on a member of the British royal family, and it's a whole thing. It's great. It's really cool. That was the coolest thing. Like, I wish they gave Biden the time that Trump got. Like, if Biden could tweet, he'd be way funnier than Trump, I think. Like,
yeah, he seems like he's like a pretty funny, all things like in the grand scheme of like politicians.
Like he might
got better writers.
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah.
He wouldn't ever do anything as funny as calling Kim Jong-un Rocket Man, but I think he would do things that like were close.
I think we all have to admit that Trump was funny.
Oh yeah. Oh, you gotta start that. You gotta start that. The man was very, very funny.
Yeah. And I think it would be interesting to figure out who the funniest president was.
Right.
I think that's the conversation we need to be having.
Taft by a mile.
Taft for yeah.
Yeah. I bet Taft had some orgies, just decadent palace intrigue parties, eyes wide shut stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what. Yes, we're saying that.
Yes.
That was funny. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. No, he was very. Yeah, he's. I mean, there's been a lot of funny psychotic people. Look at stand-up comedy, for instance.
Yeah. No, of course he was serious, and he wasn't trying to be funny. It was just he was funny. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he deserves to be buried at the bottom of a well, but like he got off some good jokes.
Yeah,
they're not mutually exclusive.
No, you can be a shitty person and be funny.
Again,
it happens all the time.
Yeah, all day, every day.
Well, I mean, are they going to be funny about it? I mean,
yeah, that's really that's the bar for me.
I mean, there are a couple episodes of Black Mirror that were kind of funny. I mean, you don't find humor in anything. That's
yeah. Okay, that's cool. So have they started yet? No. Wow. What are they? Donna's talking to some 90-year-old about a bench that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So they're a little bit late.
There's a conflicted old person who's complaining about the spikes on the park benches that they put on to get rid of skateboarders, but now they can't sit on it. That's Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Yes.
This is going to be a very long one.
That's what we're starting. We're trying to maintain our energy. Because this is going to be a long one.
Yeah, so, we might be buckling up for this one. I could see this one going till like maybe 10. I have been okay. So this is a fun. Back when I was like, I had to be at city council every week for my job and just write about whatever happened there, even if nothing happened. I have been at City Hall till like 11:30. Sometimes they have some very, very long ones. I don't know if this one's going to be like that, but we'll see. We shall see.
Could be long enough where Bill gets drunk off craft tea kombucha. That's that kind of night.
You know what? I am all for a challenge when it comes to getting drunk, and I think I could do it.
In the Star Spangled Banner.
Who we got in there? We got Bill Coleman, ready to say some stuff. What we got? We got. Imagine if we were like just like real patriots about this, and we were doing the Pledge of Allegiance in this chat along with them. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
There's going to be somebody watching who's really angry that we're not.
That would be amazing. That'd be great.
Is that Nico standing really close to the TV like that? Did his parents never tell him not to stand that close to the TV?
Is that Nico? I think
his
it
poor
might be.
eyeballs. And it's like they're watching the screen, so they're watching themselves, it looks like.
How meta.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. He is way too close to that screen. I mean, you're supposed to be looking at the flag, but
why doesn't he just turn to his right instead of look at the flag through the TV? Seems like he's
oh my God. Saint Possums. Put that comment up. That would be so funny. Oh, stay, can you see? That would be so good if if they should make random counselors sing the Star Spangled Banner, like a rotation every week. You have to sing the banner. That would be so cool.
Roll call.
I think that Joe Petty would
Florio.
deliver a very good performance.
Councilmember Carlson.
George Russell
Rivera.
would be operatic with that, I think.
absolutely beautiful singing voice.
George Russell would have a stunning singing voice.
Rosen.
Like, bring a tear to your eye.
Russell. Here. Councilor Toomey.
Also, I think Gary Rosen
Wally.
would do good with
Mayor
it.
Petty.
There'd be a vaudeville element
Before we
to
get
it.
started, just so people know, the items that are going to be held tonight is item 9A, which is the order on the school committee,
9A.
and also the 11A, which is the manager's item on the free cash and the rebalance.
Oh,
Money tonight, so I want everybody to know that.
11A is the item about the
Council will not be taking those items
body
up.
camera money.
If you more here, if you have for any of those items, you're more, you can talk on those items.
And free cash.
And we are going.
But
now
free hash
to
would
the
be
approval
that'd
of
be a
the
good
minutes.
political play.
Roll call.
Councilor Bergman.
Yes.
Councilor Calorio.
All right, so they're not talking about body cameras, and they're not talking about what was 9A over there.
Councilmember Carlson.
Yes.
Councilor Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Rose.
Yes.
Councilor Rosen.
Yes.
Councilor Russell. Yes.
Oh, 9A was
Yes.
related to the school committee redistricting
Next item
thing,
is
which
public
is
participation. The person may
is
not speak for no more
interesting.
than 2 minutes on the items appearing on the agenda.
hey, he's back.
Is your name?
Yeah, Donna Calorio kicked the plug out of my
later on
computer.
tonight, yep.
So,
This is- if
Brian,
wanna
you
speak
missed,
on it, this is the time to speak on it.
You missed it. They're going to hold the body camera thing
Yep.
till next
This
week.
is public participation.
Good.
This is the only time the public is allowed to speak in the meeting.
I understand.
This your name
Oh,
and
good.
city residence?
Sure. My name is Noel.
This guy might be good. Hold on.
I live at 14 Suburban Road, which is 100 yards or so from Duffy Field. And I'm here
Right in the
to-
microphone there too, please.
Is it on?
Yep.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'll repeat. My name is Noel Choquette. I live at 14 Suburban Road, which is about 100 yards from Duffy Field. I'm a relatively new resident of Worcester. It's been 2 years since we purchased this house. And Duffy Field and Wetherell Park.
Wow, you really walked into it,
Main
dude.
Reasons why we purchased the house, so our kids and their friends can play in the park. I represent approximately 700 people in the greater Wetherell Park neighborhood, and we're here to advocate the 9C, and we want to make it a community-based park, and we want to use it, and we want to work with the city to make it happen. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anybody else? What's your name and city residence?
Good evening, Fred Taylor. Good evening,
Oh.
Fred Taylor, Worcester resident, president of the Worcester branch NAACP.
I love
I'd like
Fred.
to speak on item 11A. First, I'd like to say thank you for holding that item and giving it some consideration. I sent the letter to the city council yesterday. Hopefully all of you had a chance to read it. In the letter that I sent, I was requesting that you consider to not use any new ARPA funds or any ARPA funds to fund the body cameras. Our position for the NAACP has been to support body-worn cameras for the police. We strongly support that, and we like to have that go forward, but we like the ARPA funds to not be spent on body cameras. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that he did that. That's good.
And, I'm
Great.
also here to speak about 11A, which is now being held, so thank you. I'm also a member of the NAACP. And I'm just here to kind of echo what Fred said. I don't think we should be using ARPA funds for purchasing police equipment. Those funds are designated specifically for aiding those who are disproportionately impacted by COVID, which would be Black, brown, and low-income white people. And I would urge the city to really consider developing an equity task force on, to properly distribute the ARPA funds, but we definitely should not be using it for police equipment. Thank you.
I'm not going
Thank
to do
you.
that.
And just to go, do you want to speak? Sure. What's your name? Say your residence.
Yes, thank you, Queen.
My name is David Slatkin. I'm a resident of the Columbus Park neighborhood of Worcester, which sits on the unceded land of the Nipmuc people. I'd also like to speak on item 11A. As currently written, I cannot support. Thank you very much for deciding to hold this item.
Which
First,
community is hell?
Is it hell, maybe?
Work and stewardship you've provided during the COVID-19 pandemic. Reading the national news, I'm really glad to have your stewardship and leadership during these challenging times, given what's going on in other parts of the country.
So this guy's running for city council next go around, right?
Thank you.
That's the vibe I get. Yeah.
That said, I strongly disagree with the proposed allotment of $200,000
Like
for
I said,
ARPA funds
hell.
being used to pay for police body cameras. The ARPA funds represent a once-in-generation opportunity to support communities most negatively impacted and affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
I wonder, he must represent some group that we missed. I don't
He
know.
does. Yeah.
Additionally, in addition to the $200,000 from the ARPA funds that are proposed to be used for this item, there's another $1.3 million in additional funds from the city's budget requested being put into contingencies for body cameras. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I ran here. So for a total of $1.5 million being awarded to the police department for body cameras, that's a 2.8% increase into the total.
For the record, that wasn't a dig. I think I like this guy. He's had a lot of great stuff to say the last couple months that we've been doing this.
I think that's a significant increase, and I think it deserves to have some more consideration and discussion around it. I'm not opposed to body cameras because communities are in support of them.
Like everyone does,
It makes sense to have discussions about how they're going to be funded. And in my opinion, I think that the police department can fund them out of their $53 million annual budget. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
His name is David Slatkin. I have never talked to
I'll just give
him.
a quick explanation.
I don't know.
So people understand. That ARPA money, well, the money, the $11 million from ARPA that went to this free cash spending, no, it's the wrong term, but for the spending in the manager's report tonight.
Oh, that's the mayor.
It came from reimbursement of revenue that the city lost. So that money went into for lack of a better term, the general fund of the city of Worcester. Now $200,000 is coming out of that money. It's not coming directly from ARPA, but it is coming from ARPA in the sense it's a.
How is Joe managing to put a Worcester accent on an acronym?
ARPA.
ARPA.
It makes it sound like the horse thing from Avatar.
If you're on
APA. Hey, we need to get APA down here because I got to get back to the fire island.
Please say your name and city of residence. Kevin Worcester. We heard
Kevin Kassan.
Yes, this is Kevin Kassan calling on item 11A, the ARPA funds and the budget item. I understand what you're saying, Mayor Petty, but for me, my concern is that this is money that was part of the ARPA funding, and if the city's using it to get reimbursed, then we should still be using it for something that follows through with the goals of the ARPA program. And so I think the reason you're hearing this frustration so much from the community is the community's been asking for months now for there to be a equity advisory panel like Boston's doing and other cities are doing to monitor the use of these funds and have oversight. At this point, there's money keeps dribbling out that we keep hearing about that's being allocated, proposed, promised, but we're not seeing any actual information provided to the public. So I think we need transparency around $146 million. You've worked with me on the TIF policy in the past. We have a list of goals and requirements around the TIF policy for a $1 million TIF. I would think for 146 million, we would be putting that 146 million through a similar and even more stringent policy proposals, protocols, and an equity advisory panel. So I get that the money is being kind of laundered through a different process, but it's still ARPA money, and it still should go towards helping people, putting people to work, helping our small businesses. And I think that's what the council should work towards making sure happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Joe
like that he
Petty,
said
money
laundry.
launderer.
Yeah.
Can you please state your name and
It is what they're doing.
It's true. Yeah.
Suzanne,
Very succinct way to put it.
City of Worcester.
Yeah, go ahead. You get the name? What's your name again? I'm sorry.
Suzanne Burke, City of Worcester.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne. Go ahead. You're up.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, all. Suzanne Burke, calling from the City of Worcester, 01602 area. I am calling in support tonight for item 9C. I believe this is a really good idea, and I know that many in my neighborhood are anxious and interested in a scheduled meeting and good communication with the Department of Public Works.
Yeah, 9C is Duffy Field.
For all the neighbors in the
Isn't that
Park, Duffy Field
sort of over?
area.
I consciously did not pay attention to Duffy Field.
Just like the city, and no one in the city has until this came up.
They
spent a lot of money on signs, Bill. We got to drag this one out as long as we can. So yeah, we're going to try and bring this right into 2024.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Lane
Benjamin, I live at 769 Pleasant Street in Worcester. I've lived
This is a
here
Duffy
40
Field person.
years.
You can tell by their voice.
Again, I want to speak in support of 9C. I want to.
Hey, I was right. Duffy Field caller.
The park is such an integral part of our neighborhood. It is so beautiful. It's just a wonderful place to be in the middle of such congestion. So any help that we can get now and in the future to make this park an even better place and even more accessible to all the children and the families living here, I think that's a great idea. I love the green space. I like the trails. It's just a wonderful place to have a little picnic, to meet, the whole thing. Anyway, so obviously I love the park, and I appreciate any help that the city and the park.
Does anyone, I get that I'm like the person that should know things, and as I said, I have consciously avoided this issue, but does anybody know literally what is wrong with Duffy Field or what's happening at all? Can we get a quick explainer on this issue?
I can tell you what everyone is saying is ridiculous for being beautiful. I
agree.
Back in high school, like that was the one park that we wouldn't even drink in because it was a giant swamp. Like you couldn't go there without just ruining your shoes. It was just an awful place. It's a park that needs a ton of work because there's poor drainage and what have you. That was, I think, what some of the folks were shooting for when it came to building it up with ball fields and what have you. But they went about it all the wrong way because it was going to essentially take a public park and turn it into a dedicated high school sports field. It just created a wedge issue that, like that last commenter that you just threw up said that, pitting folks that are there. Folks who think of parks as places for team sports versus folks who think of parks as just like open space.
Mayor, I'm here today to lend my voice to agenda item 11A, that the city managers plan to take nearly $200,000 of the ARPA funds.
I read on InfoWars that AstroTurf makes you gay.
Body-worn cameras for the Worcester
That's
Public
something to
Police
think about.
Department.
Started with the frog.
Reprehensible, unfair, and another abuse of power by the city manager at Augustus. The plans made about what and how ARPA funds are spent must be decided by the people. How ARPA funds are distributed is up to the people living in the communities hardest hit by COVID-19. I, however, am not in favor of another civilian Review Board. There is a time and a place for a civilian review board, but how ARPA funds are spent is up to the people, period. A civilian review board will give power to a few people who may or may not represent the people and shut the communities hardest hit by COVID-19 out of the deciding process. The people should decide how the ARPA funds are spent, not someone who someone else says represents them. No civilian review board or equity task force, they don't work for the people living in the city in the long run. In addition, I'd like to support 7O, Gordon Davis requests City Council, the city manager to provide a report concerning the status of the task force for ending the station of police inside of schools, stationing them in patrol cars outside schools. And I also would like to address item 9C. I'd like to stand in solidarity and lend my support to the community at Weatherly Field. I know what it's like to be shut out of community decisions. I know what it's like to have a part of the environment that you live in, not accessible to you. And so I ask that you do all you can to work with that community. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker I can identify is Megan Sherry. I'm going to try to unmute Megan now. Megan, can you hear us? Okay, not hearing from Megan. The last speaker I identify is Mimi Stevens. I'm going to try to unmute Mimi now.
Good evening, everyone. This is Mimi Stevens. I live at 46 Midland Street. I'm also calling in support of 9C.
Somebody
I would
order
really
her
like
pizza.
To see a meeting happen as soon as possible between Public Works and any Worcester resident interested in discussing Duffy Field, Wetherell Park. I'm hoping that this opportunity can happen as soon as possible. So thank you for any support you can help give us to get this meeting on the agenda. Thank you.
So the hardship here is that they just don't want like kids around them.
Mayor, that concludes public
Right.
participation on the WebEx
Like,
portal.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think
We're
like
gonna
people are saying, it's a weird
We're gonna
issue.
conclude
It's
the
a
public portion
it's
of this
a
meeting. We're going to go to the
like
petitions.
It's an effective
next.
wedge issue because there's probably good
The
points
first
on either
petition,
side,
7A
but
to 7B,
it just feels
will
like
refer to the planning
no one,
board.
everyone that's like making the most
7C
noise about
to
it isn't really talking
7D.
about the like
We're going
important
to,
parts of it. They're just
As well as 7H.
doing,
Oh,
buzzwords.
for 7H
Yeah.
works. Okay.
Correct. There was an error on the.
I mean, that's
7H
that.
to
It,
public
yeah, like
works.
that's part of it. But I'll, but
and
there
also
is
7E
like
to
there is that
7N
aspect of
minus 7H. We're going to refer to traffic.
it just kind of came about.
We can take, collectively take
and there
on the
wasn't
roll.
like no one was notified, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
Gloria?
how is that different
Yes.
from anything else that's
King.
ever happened in this city?
Councilmember Carlson.
It's very true.
Councilor
At the
Rivera.
beginning of time, it's not
Councilor Rose.
like
Yeah.
30 people
Councilor
vote in this
Rosen.
town.
Yes.
Councilor Russell.
Where
Yeah.
where is
Lower the trunk
Bergman?
of a car? What is that?
Yeah.
Wally.
Yes.
And Mayor
Mo,
Petty.
blink twice if you need help.
National Grid for condo location on Main Street.
Good. My plan finally worked.
We'll set a hearing date November 30th.
Councilor Bergman.
He's in a big like one of those 80s white
King.
stretch limos. Like
That's
Councilmember
so
Carlson.
sick.
Councilor Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Rose.
Yes.
Councilor Rosen.
Yes.
Councilor Russell.
Yes.
Councilor Toomey.
Yes.
Councilor Wally.
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
Yes. Gordon David requests City Council request City meeting provide the council report concerning the status of the task force of the ending state, the station of police inside the schools, in them and patrol cars outside of schools. Further request City manager allow the public to attend meetings of said task force and have access to said task force minutes. So the manager will be coming off the report, I believe, sometime in December, Mr. Mayor. So the report will be coming out sometime in December on the
Augustus doesn't even listen to
police
him.
in the schools. And I guess this will be
Dude, Augustus's attitude during these meetings is so fucking annoying. He's just like, oh, I have to just sit here and take a bunch of shit from people who have no power over me whatsoever and seem like I'm a tired parent whenever they ask me a question. And it's like, all right.
December. Okay. I just want to give Gordon an answer.
Like,
Okay.
you know as well as anyone, dude, that we don't have a democratic system here in Worcester, but like, you might as well, but like,
Then we
act
have
like it is,
P,
like for the sake of your own job. You know,
Yes. It's
it's very, very annoying the way that he
overhead
handles it.
LED floodlights to eliminate the Worcester citizens of the colored role and located at the intersection of Belmont Street and Lincoln Street. Request the manager contacted Mass DOT Highway Division to place markers on the east and west side of I-290, giving directions to the location of the Worcester Citizens of Color Honor Guard. Request manager to hold in-person education programs on how to start a business in Worcester, including creating an informational video through the Office of Economic Development. And request,
Is there any footage of Joe reading books to children in schools? Like that's something I feel like we all need to get our hands on.
Oh my God, that would be so good.
And or abandoned properties.
Joe Petty Story Hour.
Purchase. So, Mr. Coleman, you've been busy.
Okay.
If you give a mouse a cookie,
all of our
we all like
As
cookies.
I stand here humbly before Joseph Michael Petty, the greatest living mayor of the city of Worcester.
Oh, shut the fuck up, Bill Coleman. That's so funny.
Thank you. The first item that I have is a couple of years ago, thanks to a grant that I wrote to Ocean State Job Lot. They gave us some solar floodlights. And through the help of the city manager's
Bill Coleman
office,
got a grant from Ocean
Department
State
of Public
Job
Works installed those floodlights.
That's where I got
They're
that tie.
Still there. They come on, but they're not. But as
Oh, come on. It's a nice tie.
It's a great tie. I love
Was it-
Ocean State Job Lot.
From here, it looks like South Park characters almost.
Have them wire this in.
The Canadians, Philip. Yeah, exactly.
And then I was looking, and we found that there's some very inexpensive LED floodlights that would really illuminate the Worcester Citizens of Color Honor Roll. And it wouldn't be a big deal to do it, he says. And so, yeah, we can do this. We can put this in, have them, dusk the dawn. And it would really make the honor roll stand out. And that's the purpose of what we did. Remember, it took almost 44 years to get that honor roll reestablished. And, as much as I pride myself on saying I was around for those 44 years, but, when people come to town and families have come from all over the country, and ultimately they give a call and I get a phone call saying, hey, you the guy who knows something about that? Well, my relative's name is up there. And the only thing I can do is petition this council, to petition administration to consider putting dusk to dawn.
I love how the guy right behind Bill is new enough that he's got no idea of the faces that he's making on camera as Bill's speaking. Absolutely beautiful.
But what a way!
Tim McGurthy's been here before. Tim McGurthy's been here before. He knows not to make it keep the face blank. But the guy in the blue suit, he's letting it rip with his eyebrows over here.
Provided freedom to this country through the Second
He
World
is
War.
like, this guy is like, he's just
is,
waiting to go to
real
his
quick,
job
we
as
can
a strip
pull
club
the
bouncer
signs
after
up,
this, and he
exit
wants to get there early.
People have wanted to say, I want to see this Citizens of Color honor roll. So please take this under
I'm clearly not an
advisement.
expert on
Let's
fashion, but can we get something from the
DOT
comments? Is that an appropriate color for fall, late fall in a suit? I feel like that's one that you should let go in the summer.
Like a light blue like that.
Yeah, I think once you hit Labor Day, you gotta mothball that one.
The wisdom of City Councilor Mo Bergman said.
Yeah, maybe like a sage green is probably the closest you can get to that, I think, at this time of year.
Yeah.
We should do more. We should do more to help people own homes.
It looks
So
like a
why
costume,
can't our office
Maybe in
recognize
July it wouldn't look like a costume, but right now it got a costume vibe
banks,
to it.
mortgage companies to create.
Look at him. He's like shaking his head and shit.
Education videos.
Is his leg up on the chair? Like he looks like he's
for the future. Someday,
chilling.
if you own a home, you're going to pay.
He's
taxes.
he's taking cues from Ed Augustus on how to properly show your contempt for the public.
But at one time years ago, he used to go to the fire department and ask.
Because Augustus is just so sassy with it. He's contemptful of the city councilors, anyone he's speaking.
For the first home,
He's a sassy boy.
We get some ongoing informational videos played on our government channel and maybe even on WCCA TV for people who want to own homes, that there might be some properties available for them to do that. And I asked this, in behalf of what I heard throughout this campaign.
He's out.
I ask this in behalf of the people who would
That
like
is-
to own homes in
Oh, he
Worcester,
had to move back.
and a way to, to allow
Ooh, a slate
person
gray
for a
tie
home
too.
that's considered market rate finished homes. To
He's
buy
got his
a
phone
home
out. Somebody
that
must
they
have texted him.
can
Said, "Dude, you look like a jackass right now. Just move back a row."
Thank you.
That is not a
We
city
will take
council
those
fit.
Items and,
Sorry to tell you,
goes
blue
to
suit.
the manager. Then we have.
He definitely got a text. He definitely got a text that was like,
Shaw,
Yeah,
request
fix your
city
face or
to,
move your seat.
Yeah.
financial support for fossil fuels by taking the following actions within the 5 years. Support the city's climate declaration. City-owned investment portfolios shall not contain any shares of fossil fuel companies. Support similar divestment by its colleges which have significant investments in the fossil fuel companies, and support similar divestment from Massachusetts.
Yeah, this sunrise petition is very good.
Auction
It's sort of following suit of what Boston did this week, divesting from fossil fuels,
urban technology
and from prisons too, in the tobacco business. Yeah,
Treasurer's office has come out to do this, and so
Doug, that's been covered.
See what it
Come on,
means.
man. We went over
Yeah.
that weeks ago.
Urban
Yeah, there it is.
I'll take
Mo Bergman in his car.
He's
Yelling
on
at
his
his
way.
dog.
Yes. Council Gloria, Council King.
He's literally in his car.
Yes.
How can you say present and you're just in your car?
Rose. Yes.
What the fuck? He's actually in his car.
Russell.
Mo
Yes.
Bergman, barely present.
Wally. Yes. Mayor Petty.
Yes. Next item is 8A to 8I, motions to adopt.
Mr. Chairman.
Council Russell.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Mr. Chairman, on 8D.
8D.
Yep.
This item going to the city clerk to request the council to do an analysis of the potential options with the 6 or 7 districts for the school committee.
Yep.
And I had a conversation with the clerk and asked him basically if he was ready, willing, and able to do this analysis, and I'm hoping that he is. But I think it's time, Mr. Chairman, to enable the clerk to have the resources that he may need at his disposal. And I would make a suggestion, and it's only a suggestion because I know the city council can't make expenditures, we can only recommend, but I'd ask that the manager would consider allowing some funds available so that if the clerk needed to get a professional opinion on his own, a separate opinion, Mr. Chairman, from the person that's providing the information to us and through this process. Mr. Chairman, I have, as I look, and I really don't know how we're going to go down this road and finish this as quickly as we've got planned. Mr. Chairman, I was one of those votes for this item, and I'm standing by that vote, hoping that everything will go smooth. But I don't know how we can make a decision between which one of those 3 options without having some more information on what potential maps or districts will look like. And taking the opinion of one person from California, who's some of these drafts that he's come out with that have Lincoln Street and Greenwood Street down there, Route 20.
You know, they're supposed to have this figured out, this move to a district system,
understand how that's
by like
So
December
I'd like the
7th,
clerk and whoever he
which is
believes
insane.
another expert on this. The clerk
There's
is
so many issues. This is such a complicated issue.
I want to keep our eye on the prize of trying to go forward with this as planned. The whole, dealing with the courts and sticking with our time.
I'm very confused by Councilor Russell's sleeves tonight.
Chairman.
Are his,
People in my
his arm
district,
shrinking?
people in many of our districts,
like it.
especially the folks down.
They're very floppy.
When I
Yeah.
use the, this.
Is,
More like a
is this
robe.
is this one of those things where someone's standing behind him doing the arms and like he's got his arms behind his back?
You know, it kind of looks like that.
May also be in a district with folks on West Tatnick.
There he is.
On West Tatnick. And it's really a
Gentleman
shame
George.
because one of the reasons why I supported this item, is because I want to give people a voice. I want to give all folks a voice. And I want to help those who brought the suit forward to be heard and to be represented better than they are now.
You know what's a funny thing? Is if the school committee goes all district, and there's like only like 8 people in Worcester that want to be on the school committee, what happens if no one runs in one of the districts?
But roughly,
You know?
knowing that.
It's a very good point.
I wonder if the folks
Like, do they have to recruit somebody to run in one of the districts if nobody signs up?
Life model decoys. The Marvel Universe already figured this out.
And that's my concern.
You got it. Yeah. Okay. All right.
I mean, effectively, they just have to like. That's what would happen is they would just get someone to run. But
be heard
what if they didn't?
Some of the
What's
areas
the?
that I represent, that other folks on this council, that all the at-large councilors represent. But for the life of me, I do not know how we can put Lincoln Street and the trailer park down on Southwest Cutoff in the same district. So I think we need a fresh set of eyes to look at this. He's a lot sharper than I.
That's a good one.
But I want to make sure he's got all the resources that he needs to get.
We did that.
Sure. Because these aren't finalized, Mr. Clerk, are they?
To the chair, to the council. So actually, these are just traps that were provided by the law department during the MLO meeting from the consultant. I know he's also emailed me some additional maps. I think for the clerk's analysis, the only thing I can do is compare it, the city council, 5 city council districts against these maps. I don't have voter registration data as the consultant does because I think he downloaded those from the Census Bureau. What I can analyze for the council is, compare the city council districts that we just approved recently by the LEDRC and the Board of Election Commissioners to these maps. And I can provide you analysis in terms of election administration, how that would look like. But if you want me to analyze, possible, voter data or eligible voter data, I have to maybe get it from the consultant so I can analyze it, or,
next election, just do one.
To receive that data.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the clerk. I think the clerk does whatever he thinks he needs. I think that this council, to make an informed decision, I mean, how do we choose between 6 districts, 7 districts?
Rock, paper, scissors. I mean, kids have been doing this for decades.
How do we do it? Roughly. I mean, maybe not the exact line, but how do we do that?
Maybe Mr. Trainor, can you elaborate on some of this? Because I thought
I understand that the consent decree says what it says,
I'm
and I'm not arguing that. I'm not trying to go against that, and I'm not trying to go against the issues that were brought forward by the plaintiff.
I'm agreeing with you. I think there's some issues here. I just want to make sure we're going down the right track and what's the plan. My understanding was both sides will agree on a person to develop the map. Is that correct? So have we done that?
So good, Jeff.
That's coming later. That's correct. Right now, it's only about adopting a new process, a new electoral process. That's with a 6th district or 7 district. Those districts can't be finalized until we meet with the plaintiffs. We agree on the majority minority districts.
Being the Worcester attorney
From what I understand,
might be one of the worst jobs of all time.
So we can't get too granular at this point in time.
The city is constantly getting sued for the dumbest things.
It's like being the lawyer for Whalum Park. Like, so much work and it's not that cool.
Yeah.
We're going to end up probably 3 split precincts. If we go with 6, it's looking like 9 split precincts. So we said if that's the overriding concern, then the 7 precinct model would be preferred. But again,
well,
some of this looks a little.
What they should do is be like, all right, this is out of our hands. Why don't we just start a charter review right now to make the city council districts the same as the school committee districts? That's what a fucking progressive city council would do in this case.
Mr. Chairman, I understand all that.
I agree with you. I think the reason people are nervous about that, though, is you can't specify the reason for a charter commission. And as soon as that door gets open, it's strong mayor is going to be the first thing that gets pushed through.
Oh, okay.
I have some concerns.
It's everything is on the table once you have a charter commission.
A water slide?
That's very interesting, actually. I didn't know that. Hey, water slide, municipal water slide.
And again, I don't know
You know, that's
Yeah.
a pretty good single issue campaign.
Which plan we go to.
I
And
clocked
last we
that,
did
Travis,
it-
but I don't know.
Mr.
We'll have to
Chairman,
wait
through
for
you,
some
Mr.
more
Kramer.
info to figure out what's going on there.
The consent decree
Who's the
refers
lady? I don't
to
know about this
a
lady.
consultant
There was
as
just a
being the
lady behind
final
the
person who's gonna
solicitor
decide
that
the
was
districts.
seemed to be yelling,
Who is that person? Has that,
and
that
was
neutral
maybe
party
escorted
been
out by a police officer.
decided yet?
Oh boy.
The chair, it's not been decided. It has to be mutually agreed upon between us and the plaintiffs. But we are hoping that Professor Pursley will remain on. He worked in Lowell and has worked with these plaintiffs.
I'm here for it.
We haven't had discussion with them to see if they would give that final approval.
That's what the people want.
Mr. Chairman, I just think we need a second set of eyes. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to, as amended, we're going to take items right through 8I. Roll call.
So what they basically just agreed on is here we are as a bunch of non-lawyers
Counselor Bergman?
asking a lawyer for his
Colorio?
opinion
Yes.
and then telling him we don't
Counselor King?
understand it.
Counselor
So we want
Morrell?
more opinions.
Yeah.
Counselor Rivera?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yeah.
Dude, Mo Bergman's still in his car.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Where's
gotta
he
get a
driving?
screenshot of this.
Counselor Wally?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yes, we are on
Oh my
9B.
God.
9A's been held.
It's like
9B,
that Tom
request
Hardy
made
movie
with
where he's just in his car the whole time talking on the phone.
Public Works and Parks provide City Council report as to steps necessary to
He's
create
recording a
robust
video
community
that's like,
cleanup program. Council Bergman.
Kyle Rittenhouse didn't bring a rifle across state lines. MSNBC is lying to you.
Come up before, but I think this fall has kind of highlighted.
Okay.
Take a look at.
Hold on. I need to get a screenshot of it.
Springtime, to help folks out. I realize that we have financial constraints, we have manpower complaints, but we seem to be always dodging the weather in the fall and we either hit a neighborhood too soon or too late. And, reality is that in the springtime, when people want their yard to look good because summer's coming, we no longer have a program for that. I mean, I'm old enough to remember that we did have a program where we used to pick up leaves in the springtime, and we don't have that anymore. And again, I'm sure there are monetary and manpower limitations, but my thought is
I gotta
we'd have
tweet
a
this
lot
out.
of pressure on us in the fall between dodging the snowstorms and trying to pick up the leaves before snow comes and trying to also gauge when the leaves come off the trees. I think we would do our constituents a much better service if in addition, I'm not suggesting we do away with the fall program, it's a great program, but in addition to the fall program, we have a robust spring program.
Is there one?
If you missed out in the fall because the snow came too soon or because the leaves fell off too late, you'd be able to make it up by being able to have
Incredible opportunity for Travis to Microsoft paint in a little bit of cocaine on a one of Mo's nostrils.
Oh yeah, just a
I
little
know I'm not
coke
the
on
only
it.
one looking for it, but
but there is a downside in the springtime when people want their lawns.
Dude, and he's holding the camera so close to his face. Like,
so close that he's missing his face.
he's getting like 60% of his face in the screen, and his eyes are just like concerningly wet. Like, what is he doing, dude? It's like,
While driving to council so he can complain about dangerous driving in the city of Worcester. This is
yeah, like he's doing it while driving. And that's why he has to hold his phone like this, because he's looking at the road. Like he's driving around while he's on this. That's unbelievable, dude. That's a Parks and Rec thing.
Bergman?
That's fucking unbelievable.
Counselor Bergman?
Yes.
Counselor Colorio?
Yes.
Counselor King? Counselor Merrill Carlson?
Well, they probably pick up a lot more
Counselor
leaves than
Yes.
they do in his
Counselor Rose?
neighborhood.
Yes. Counselor Rosen?
Yes.
Counselor Russell?
Yes.
Counselor Toomey?
Yes.
Counselor Wally?
I'm surprised he didn't suggest that we move leaf pick up to July. Just
9C, request the city manager, request the assistant commissioner of public works and parks consider convening a meeting as soon as possible that can be continued on an annual basis. The residents interested in Duffy Laurel Park are given an opportunity to discuss.
Oh, this is
improvements
Colorio
to
on
the
Duffy
park
Field. This is going to be great.
appropriate
I just
representation
think
and
these
administration.
people
Council Colorio.
should have a swamp to muck around in.
This is basically as it reads, just to start off, like the new year off.
Freshly struck by lightning. That's what she looks like every time.
On a yearly basis. I know they've done a lot of work in the park, a lot of the people in the neighborhood. And just to make sure everybody's on the same page, I think it would be really something positive. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Toomey, followed by Councilor
Oh
Rose.
boy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know if the counselor would consider this a friendly amendment, but Perhaps we could include members of the Parks Commission in this meetings as well, as it's all kind of connected, and I think it would make sense to have everyone understand what the Parks Commission does as well and what their role is in any improvements in parks, et cetera. So if that's okay.
Oh
or,
my God.
Kate, that's a nice
Dude.
mask.
Jack Murray, I'm gonna text this to you, Travis.
Thank you, Mr.
Jack
Chairman.
Murray
It's District 1
just
Park.
sent me
I'm not opposed to this going to the
a
administration.
meme that is out of pocket.
So
I love it.
have this be reviewed in the Park Subcommittee for a open meeting, transparent process, and some dialogue so everybody could be on the same page and in the loop about what's happening in the past, present, future, so that we can plan properly for this park.
So you willing to hold a meeting pretty soon then on it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So have a public meeting?
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
rather go through the council. Okay, so send that to the council, have a council meeting.
Jesus. Ugh,
Okay.
that's awesome.
So,
Good Lord, Jack.
roll call.
Mr. Mayor, is going veteran reports. Councilor Bergman?
Mo Bergman
Gloria?
is going to be like, that's defamation of character. I'm suing you immediately.
Councilor Rivera?
Yes.
Councilor Rose?
Yes.
Councilor Rosen?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Councilor Wally?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yes. Request the clerk provide the council with a report concerning early voting for municipal election 2021, including cost analysis.
Oh,
Council
this is
Colorio.
Colorio thing, Bren.
Basically, as it reads, I think the cost analysis is really an important part of this whole thing, because we have to kind of look at it and say, was it worth doing 7 days of, early voting, or maybe should we extend it to 10 days, or should we extend it to just the weekend before? I mean, what would work out best for the city? Thank you.
Sure, we'll send that to the clerk. I know there's an item on the free cash about that, and so we will be interested to get an analysis on this. So send that to the clerk. Roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Colorio?
Yes.
Councilor King? Councilor Member Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Rivera?
Yes.
Councilor Rose?
When Petty said it would be interesting to get an analysis of that, he could have sounded no more interested if he tried. Like, that would be interesting.
Request the
to
State
get a
Committee on
report on
Urban
that.
Technology, Innovation, and Environment hold a meeting with the appropriate representatives from the city staff to discuss municipal broadband. Council Wally.
As it reads, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Chairman.
What
Dude.
is going on, Matt Wally?
That Christian.
As it reads, he's going joke. He's getting Joker-fied. dude.
Joker-fied.
Council met with Senator Markey tonight, and he brought this up, and he said there's going to be a lot of money for Massachusetts.
You merely adopted the council. I was born into it, molded by it.
And
I'd like to sign on as well.
Council, so as amended, everybody sign on.
Yes.
As amended, roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Kate Toomey heard that Joe
Gloria?
Moakley was interested in this
Okay.
item, and now she has to be a part of it.
Councilor Carlson?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Councilor
shout
Rivera?
out to our
Yes.
our number one viewer,
Councilor
Kate
Rosen?
Toomey. We know
Yes.
she's
Councilor Russell?
paying attention to what we got
Toomey?
going on here.
Councilor Wally?
Yes.
Buy a mask off her Etsy.
Yes. Okay, request city manager work with the police chief and the license commission to
needs
investigate whether
oil.
individuals not possessing a taxi medallion are still using their livery or personal vehicles to function as a taxi cab service against the rules, regulations, and ordinances of the city of Worcester, including those driving the 3 recently obtained accessible vehicles report that they're registered and permitted to taxi business are being irreparably harmed by individuals not possessing a medallion, but who are functioning as licensed medallion holding cabbies and even following legitimate taxis to offer those who have called the cab to ride at greatly discounted rates. Councilor Rose.
Wait, I didn't read that because it was Gary Rosen's. Are people doing that? That's kind of badass, dude.
This was
not
where
trying to open the
prior to
old
like
wounds
Uber and
that we
Lyft,
have from several years ago,
like-
where there
let
was
Gary explain
a
it.
bit of discussions, among the taxi medallion drivers, medallion holders, and the livery drivers of the city of Worcester. The livery drivers do perform a service here in the city of Worcester, and they're certainly welcome. I did get a couple of calls from 2 taxi drivers, and one of them especially concerned me because he's one of the owners of one of the new accessible taxi cabs. Now, as the mayor knows, we've been trying to get accessible taxi cabs in this city for several years. And we did that recently, and I was, working with a committee on that. And this driver said that he's got an accessible taxi, but that vehicle sometimes is followed by people in their own personal cars or livery drivers, and they interfere with the picking up of someone who's using that taxi. The taxi is used for accessible passengers, disabled passengers, and also for people who are able-bodied too. So they use these vehicles for,
Totally
for both, but they were primarily, purchased by the individuals for accessibility.
The great reckoning of Gary Rosen.
I know in Worcester we have rules. We have rules for taxi medallions, and they have big investments in those medallions, of course. And we have rules for livery drivers. There is a third group that's growing out there. And that's the group of people who make little business cards. They don't have a medallion. They don't have taxi insurance. They have none of that. They don't have a livery license. They just use their personal vehicles. They show up at Walmart. They flash a little business card. They hand it out, and they give people rides. Very dangerous getting into vehicles like that, I would say. But the concern of the taxi drivers is...
I don't know. I think that's kind of cool.
Pretty badass, yeah.
Yeah. That's a hustle, man. That's a good hustle.
Livery drivers to follow the rules.
It's not a livery. It's DiGiorno.
I once took a cab back from Boston to Natick off a guy that just handed me a business card. It ended up being cheaper than a cab.
Yeah, I used to do it all the
Someone
time.
in the comments asked whether or not this was an attack on gig workers. It's kind of the exact opposite. Gary's always been very friendly to holders of medallions long before Lyft and Uber were even a thing. What's gotten interesting over the last year, though, is like I use Lyft a ton. Daytime, you're lucky if you can find a Lyft within an hour in Worcester. They're actually really hard to come by because the whole gig economy, everyone's doing all the apps at once, right? And food delivery is where the money's at right now. So during normal hours, outside of bar hours, people are focused on delivering food, not focused on driving for Uber and Lyft. So now you've got a lot of, again, I hate the term, but I don't know, the unlicensed liveries are starting to pop up again. It's something that cabs never really got, was that a lot of these services, they focus on really tight communities. Years ago, it was like within the Latino community generally is where you saw a lot of activity. Now you see smaller pockets of Southeast Asian immigrants. They have their own sort of livery services, a lot of African immigrants, and they just trust their drivers. They're not licensed. It's not a regulated business, but it's kind of just like the way a community should work because like you trust these people. Like Gary says, he thinks it's scary to get into a stranger's car. I'm sure there's
but
a
it's
lot
not
of dudes.
scary to get in like your neighbor's car if you know them.
Exactly. Like, and if you just got off a plane to the United States last week, it's probably terrifying to get into a yellow car just because some white dude says that's what you're supposed to get into.
Yeah, right.
I think that I also think Gary has a soft spot for the taxi drivers in this city because he's Danny DeVito's cousin. So I think that may be part of it.
Including whether information shows there has been an increase in the number of overdose.
Thanks, Doug.
Councilor Rivera.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. I mean, we saw in November 12, we saw an article come out by the American Medical Association regarding the nation's drug-related overdose and death epidemic continues to worsen.
Absolutely true.
As we know, Worcester has seen its significant challenges, and I just wanted to request a report as to how we're doing here in the city and what's some of the work that we're doing in relation to trying to tackle some of the concerns related to overdoses that we're seeing in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
What is Mo doing?
Yeah, hang on. So we got Council Corio, Carlson, and Council Rosen.
He's changing his pants.
Thank you.
We got a tubing situation?
Amend that a little bit. I'd be very interested in seeing those numbers as it was before the coronavirus and then during the coronavirus, because I've read the same article too, and I know that it's very disturbing, these numbers, and it's very disturbing that this is happening. And I'd like to know too which direction we're going into in the city and how this has affected our community as well. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Carlson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to sign on. I think that this is really timely, and I also had read that article as well as
Oh, good. An article went around.
seen another piece that they had on the national news in regards to this. So I think that this is a great order.
Okay. Councilor Rosen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too want to sign on. I think it's a wonderful
What's Mo doing?
order. It's a big public health issue here.
He's like in the Wendy's drive-thru.
I read that across the country in the last 20 years, at least 500,000 people have died of drug overdoses, opioid overdoses. So that's a heck of a lot of people. And it doesn't seem to be getting a lot better. I don't know the figures in Worcester. I hope it's improving in Worcester. But I lost a friend a couple of weeks ago, someone I had known for many, many decades, who just couldn't, stop her addiction and died, I assume, of a drug overdose, but it might be just the fentanyl in there. So that's
a
another
drug.
issue that goes along with the public.
Come
health.
on, Gary.
A lot of these opioids.
I really do think that people think fentanyl is like
a tiny bit of that,
just like poison that they like. They don't have any clue what. They just hear the word fentanyl.
Yeah, right. They're just like, oh, sounds scary.
Oh, it's rat poison.
Councilor Rivera, credit for bringing this up. It's a very important public health
The
issue.
drugs are being
I just wanna
cut
say this as I
with
finish,
fentanyl,
the Worcester
making
City
them
Council,
dangerous to
I wanna
take
commend
because
Councilor
fentanyl
Rivera. I've
is
been on
very
your
deadly.
Public health committee the last
This is one of those
term,
weird
and it's been an
times. I will
excellent
never do
experience
fear
for me.
mongering over
Committee that I really
drug
love.
use.
I love the
That's
work that it
just not
does,
me. But like, this is
and I
one of
just
those
wanna
weird
commend
times where everybody on this
Councilor Rivera
council is
for her
advocating
leadership
for the full
on these
legalization or
public
at least
health issues. Thank
decriminalization
you,
of
Mr.
drugs
Chairman.
without realizing it. Like,
Yes.
fentanyl is in everything because fentanyl is
Chair,
cheaper
I'd
to
like to
buy
sign
in
on,
bulk than the
but
stuff
I also
and the
want
laxatives you would normally cut
mention
drugs
that
with,
in
right?
the
Like,
Yes.
Business
I had a
Journal,
really
there
good
was
friend,
also
a
an
comedian out in
article
California. I mean,
on
Brian, you probably know what I'm
the
referring to,
opioid
but
overdose
there was
deaths,
a
which had
bunch
some
of
very
comedians all
important
dropped about
information.
2 months ago. But one of them was
Great
from
concern
Massachusetts. Was actually a good
was
friend of
the
mine. That
increase
I mean, he's a seasoned cocaine
in
user.
the
He was
Black
not
community,
expecting his cocaine to
63%
be
increase
laced. It just,
opioid
but
overdoses, while Latino communities are 12%.
that's the argument for legalization.
In
That's not.
addition to that,
Yes.
15% of all overdose death rates for females in Worcester were increased by 15%. That was increased by 15%. So I think it's really important to include that article as well and that information broken down by race, ethnicity, gender.
No, I mean that's where it stops.
what's
Once
going
it
on
becomes
with
clear
that. And
that
also,
what
I
you're
think
really
Councilor
talking about,
Rosen
what
made
the
a
solution to the
very
problem
valid
is, then
point,
that's
with the fentanyl. I know that
you
we've
know.
been seeing that a lot out in the streets. And
Yeah.
that's-
We?
it's a huge- with it being
We?
cheaper
What's this
marijuana,
fucking we shit, Kate,
that's a
to
huge
me?
issue.
Yeah. Well, she is a
Good
cop.
news, according to
You know.
this article, though, is that the numbers are down in
That's true.
Worcester
That is
itself,
true.
as opposed to 2019.
Kate Toomey,
So
Jenny
that still is
Pacillo,
some good
Worcester's
news.
2 newest cops.
So the counselors,
The Cagney and Lacey of Worcester, Massachusetts.
Thank you. And Councilor Rivera, thank you for the order. It's a next city, state, national crisis. No question about it. You can pick up the Worcester Telegram and read the obituary section when you see it. So,
Oh, I thought he was doing a plug.
so I think everybody wants us to amend that to everybody
No.
sign on and also get data before, during, and after.
Well, you
COVID.
know what's not laced with
Ultimately, after
fentanyl?
COVID, I know what you mean.
Craft Tea Kombucha, our wonderful sponsor, guaranteed that I can on my mother's life. I would say that Matt does not cut his kombucha with fentanyl, and it is very good. And you can find it all over the city. And you know, support your homegrown businesses. Support your homegrown live streams, your homegrown businesses.
Legalize craft tea kombucha.
Councilor
back.
Russell? Yes.
Yeah, you can.
Yes.
You can get
Yeah,
Narcan for
yes.
free. Oh, this lady.
This lady.
Yeah.
Okay, next item is request.
Like,
from
I'm not
the
a
manager
I'm not a
to
fan of metal
council
detectors.
update concerning
That's
the
why
work
you've got
being
metal
done to
detectors
combat
right there.
sex trafficking
Yeah.
in the city, including information.
They're all just looking at her like,
to address
oh, I wish I was in the
beyond
room right now. I'd be
coming
so
into
sick.
the
Everyone would just
city,
be like kind of
Councilor
looking at
Rivera.
her all nervous.
Yeah, I know
Blue
that
suits hiding.
here in the city, we've done a lot of work in regards to this, and I know that it's
That's
not
why
just
Mo
something
Bergman's in his
only
car.
in my district. We're seeing this citywide.
I'm afraid of the pores.
Can
Not
you guys
only,
throw up that last comment
is
that
this an
somebody
issue that's
left down there?
impacting the community, but at the same time, it's just impacting individuals.
Yeah. Also, test strips are very
Right
easy to
now,
get.
you know, what we don't wanna
And that's
do is
not
continue
foolproof,
to
but
see,
like you
the
might as well do it if you're gonna do it. You know,
something so terrible. And
because
we wouldn't
like
be able to,
heroin and
you know,
cocaine cut with
we come a long way and did a lot of
fentanyl
work.
looks and
I
smells
know that
exactly
there's
like
going
if
on
it
in the
wasn't,
pandemic, but right
and you
now,
don't know.
with
And
the
every time you
increase
do
of
it, you're rolling the
homelessness,
dice
with
because,
the increase of
like
yet,
Brendan said, what
the
used
issue
to be
of,
laxatives that made you
you know,
just have to
substance
take like the
abuse
gross
disorder,
poop at the bar,
we've seen
are
here, just
now
specifically
deadly
talking about what we
overdose-inducing
normally see on the
opiates. So.
streets regarding commercial sex trafficking usually is involving or related to trauma, sexual trauma, and or also with substance abuse disorder. Unfortunately, you know, one of the things that's of major concern is the Johns that come into the area, because these individuals are coming specifically into our communities. And I know that other district councilors have this concern, as well as other councils, coming to our community, our neighborhoods, to purchase human beings, I mean, that's something we have to get. And so that in itself has its own issues, right? And so what we've seen is that this has affected also just folks in our community, whether you're taking a walk or you're in, you know, jogging or just waiting for a bus, and this becomes a major issue. So I'd like to see us really kind of take this back up through public health, through the collaboration of public health and public safety.
It appears that Santa Claus is in the backseat of Mo's car.
Community input, and begin to really look at targeting specific areas that this is really affecting. I know that in my district, there's certain areas where there are schools, right? Especially elementary schools.
See,
and what's really sad is that, again, it's almost like, you know, children as well as residents are normalizing this type of behavior. You know, it's almost like, oh, it's another kind of, you know, day that we're seeing this. And
yeah, so I like that.
be.
So
We should
Survivor
definitely
does
see
this
that
once every couple
something's wrong
months.
with this. We
Is
should
she
definitely try to
makes
get
it an issue,
help
and
for
she
individuals, especially
in the past has requested
women. We're
explicitly
talking,
for
you know, trying to get the help and
stings
continue to do the
for
outreach.
John sting operations.
The city
And
manager has
while
really been
that's,
active in supporting and
I mean, nobody wants
I really
prostitution in their neighborhood.
And when we look at other municipalities, I feel like in Worcester, we definitely have been stating.
Sean is doing his best Mo Bergen impression right now.
You know, when I go to certain neighborhood meetings,
Um,
to come up,
but
it's very concerning. And I, you know,
like,
I remember many years ago a specific street that was associated with commercial sex trafficking. And
if you find Mo Bergman out there in the streets of Worcester, I'll give you $100.
with that in other neighborhoods that I remember that growing up.
Sean, find him and race him.
We can do that once again, especially
Yeah, we're gonna drag race.
specific areas where there are schools, especially elementary and middle schools, and high schools. You know, so I would.
I'm out delivering
that the city manager would
delivering advent calendars.
Convene some folks.
Oh, I thought you were running an unlicensed
and
cab.
public health to try to look at specific target
Yeah, it's the red cab.
collectively with folks working this issue in the community, kind of really look at trying to do some systemic work and trying to.
I've heard a couple people talk about having power outages today,
especially eradicating it in specific communities, and really tackling the issue of people coming into our neighborhoods, coming from out of town, from not even from our community or in our neighborhood, that are coming specifically just to purchase human beings. So I would really appreciate the city manager to maybe kind of see how we can kind of work collectively again and really look at doing some specific targeting. And again, I do want to commend the administration and public health and public safety and community that has done extensive amount of work on this. But I think what I'd like to do is kind of take it a step up and look at trying to target specific areas and look at what's happening systemically and how we could work to really address the issue, because it really, really has become a significant quality of life issue. Specifically, I want to say in certain parts of my neighborhood, in my community, in my district. And I don't want to speak for other councilors, but I know that this is happening in other areas of the city as well, and it's impacting the same way. Thank you very much.
I wonder if somebody will pull Mo Bergman over for that.
Council Bergman,
Yes.
Council Calorio,
Yes.
Council King,
If he gets pulled over
Carlson,
and he doesn't shut his camera off,
Rivera.
and they're like, "Sir, license and registration," and he's like, "Dude, it's Mo," and they're like, "Hey, Mo, get out of here." That'd be so good.
Thanks for handling that thing for me.
Council Russell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Council Toomey,
Yes.
Council Wally.
Yes.
Yeah. Did anyone else like
Yes.
turn on the dome light while you're driving on the highway and your dad like screams that you're gonna kill us all?
Yeah. It's like, "Oh, I'm gonna crash the car right now."
City Hall Common in the spring to get our young people enthusiastic and interested in DPW.
Listen, Jack, I don't like cops either, but I wouldn't
the fire department
wish that on anybody.
It's all you, brother.
Yeah, your hands will get lost.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Goes to,
Just pull
Captain
back like
Mosley from the
two
Worcester Fire
stumps.
Department and, Sergeant Lito from the Worcester Police Department for all their efforts to attract people to these professions. I think it would be a nice gesture to try to attract our young people to this profession early on. When you talk to some firefighters who went into this as a career profession, they can harken back to their days as a youngster when they were able to jump in a fire truck or play in the seats or mess around with the hoses and the.
Wait, this is my favorite thing of the night.
This is Touch a Truck.
To inspire some enthusiasm for our young people.
Where on the truck were you touched?
I like to think that they would have the Touch a Truck set up, and right when the kids are about to touch the truck, John Manfredo jumps in front of it.
Oh no!
To reinforce what Sergeant Lito and Captain Mosley are doing as well. Thank you.
Okay. I'll send that to the manager. Roll call.
You know what? If I was making that motion, I'd just be like, "Guys, we can all admit, fire trucks are pretty cool, right? Like, we should just like put them around so we can touch them.
Yes.
Who wouldn't want to touch a truck?"
It is fun.
Russell. Yes. Council Toomey.
Yes.
Council Wally.
Yes.
Mayor Petty.
Yes.
Oh my God, Matt Wally.
Because the manager.
Yes.
He's coming to the end of his power cycle.
Neighborhood.
I really want to touch a truck.
Illegal signs, Council Rose.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very quickly, I'm sure every district councilor or many councilor who's been here for a long period of time has probably put this on.
Yep.
I've seen this on a couple of times. I just seen in District 1 this,
I watched the school committee meeting last night, and John Manfredo looks like an actual ghoul.
and it's just odd.
He is an actual ghoul.
He is an actual ghoul, but he is old, man. He looks
Some
like
residents have called and have talked
scary,
about it, and
like the
DPW
Crypt
has
Keeper.
tried to go and taking the signs off, but somehow they reappear.
Yeah, like someone melted him.
Just wanted to put out some communication.
He looks like the uncle from Christmas Vacation.
The number, or
The
whatever
guy
it
with the
may be.
cigar.
I think it'd be helpful in just kind of eradicating that.
You know, he probably aged a little bit faster because of his conscience.
An inordinate number of signs that just seems like just came out of nowhere for the first time with me.
Yes, we did give a shout out to Kate Toomey, our most fervent viewer.
Mr. Chair, I certainly support this, and I do want to add.
John allegedly Manfredo.
There are some violations, there are fees.
Why, yes, my name's John Manfredo, and I've alleged to do a lot of things.
So if that could be included as well as an incentive for folks.
That's a really good John Manfredo.
Yes, my name's John Manfredo, and I like it when kids have books, and I like giving them
Putting
books.
these signs out and be able to hold them accountable. Thank you.
My dad said he's about to retire from principal and become school committee member. He called the city desk every week to tell them that he got more books in the school.
John Manfredo's like,
he just called every.
He called every what?
He called every single week from June until the election in November. Hey, I got books in the school that I used to read the principal at. It's pretty cool.
That fucking guy. Yeah, it's important to read books, but don't read anything in the Telegram and Gazette from 1997.
Meeting concerning the process for sharing the change of private street to a public street, Council Rose.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This is something that came up while campaigning again. I know the city does a nice job of putting out on their website, these are the things that you need to do in an effort to change from a public to a private street. And people have a lot of questions about like frontage and costs and taxes and abatements and other ideas or thoughts. And
Bollards.
I was thinking that it just might make sense just to have one public meeting where people could call in and we could just have a big discussion on what this looks like for folks. It's something that's come up over time with me from time to time, but lately on the campaign trail it came up quite a bit. So again, the city does a nice job, and I can certainly revert people to the website, and I've put links up, and I've shared pictures, and I've done a whole lot. I think we're at a point now where it might be nice to have some conversation beyond what's being offered in our informational communication through the city.
I want to do a touch a jet ski at Indian Lake.
Thank you.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Councilor Timmy, followed by Councilor Carlson, Councilor Russell.
Jet ski safety classes.
I pulled out a brochure that's been in my garage. It was done November 20th, 2013. And it's still
got a prop comic here?
Desk out.
You just pulled out the first playbill from opening night at the Hanover Theater.
Handout as well. Here is what's on the website that would be helpful. Thank you.
Kate Toomey's always like, yeah, I read this article. I printed it out from my computer, and I think that we should all take a look at this. And she just holds it up.
With this,
See?
private streets, making them public, it is a ongoing concern throughout.
I read this article that BLM is Antifa.
Don't know how that process works.
I think it might be true.
Maybe if
That scares me.
Russell
I'm gonna shoot
would,
somebody.
in his committee, which they meet on a regular basis, it could be something that they talk about in the meeting, because the folks from DPW were there as well. I think that updated information would be.
I touched some trucks.
I mean, to put something in, maybe there is. Honestly.
I'm sorry, I'm really obsessed with the touch a truck thing. It's just so perfect. I want to make T-shirts.
On our website. If it is, that's great. If it isn't, maybe it's something that we should add.
Yeah,
there.
the city
But I
council
do think
fridge is
that
just covered in
more
Kate
and more,
Toomey's bullshit.
That's coming up. I
yeah.
know
And it's like,
in
looking
the
at you,
past
Matt.
year, I have 5 streets, which is a lot that people reached out, to me personally about what the process is to change those streets to public. And of course, we know, being on Public Works, that there's a cost to it. So oftentimes that's where the, stumbling block is. But I do think that if we, maybe if Council Russell.
This is an interesting one to me too.
I think that in Public Works, every time that we meet, we should maybe.
Of the public streets?
Share that information. Thank you.
Yeah, like, why do all of a sudden they want to turn them, like, everyone prides themselves on living on our
Mr.
planet. Why do they want to go
Chairman,
public
I
all
believe
of a
it's
sudden?
the
Yeah.
week and a half.
Their cars are bottoming out like crazy.
We're going to have a meeting which is almost entirely devoted to.
Do they think it's like having an IPO? They go public. They're gonna make some money.
Back with a discussion about that, and as part of that process, we'll be describing the whole.
Can we set up
process
toll
of
roads in Worcester, like private toll roads?
what's involved, and I
That
would
should be the next
welcome
flex.
the councilor from District 1 to join us at that time and
Yeah.
join in the conversation. I think that
The boat was
not only
fucking
for the
awesome,
Works
huh?
Committee, but conversation between
Like,
the city
Yeah,
and
that was
the
really
state,
great.
because
The
too many
the
times
boat
one
was like,
sometimes someone just doesn't even.
we kind of needed that, like that was just,
They put
We
the
did.
petition in.
it was
No matter what we believed in, who we supported, we all loved the boat.
That everyone's going to get a bill of $10,000 or $20,000.
It brought the
So
city
I
together.
always say to folks that want to work, we heard at the committee, great, come on in, as long as DPW is ready to make a recommendation on it, we're happy to hear it. But I also suggest them to have the conversation with their neighbors, because that conversation is going to end up happening at that table. And it's always a lot easier to have.
I think if a private street wants to become public, we should have to jump them in. We get to beat up the street.
And hopefully we'll have effort to try and expedite that.
we just have like a quadrophenia style street brawl. Ride down on motorcycles and beat up everyone on the street.
And a couple of amendments. One is update the pamphlet.
George
one
Russell's
is
mustache is
put
going to
up
run
the
against
public
George
works
Russell.
Yeah.
meeting and the manager.
Yeah.
So we'll send that collectively to the manager. I mean, to the to the
I just can't believe that George Russell has ever run.
roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
I don't think so. I really don't.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Yes.
He's
Hey,
the
what's
only
up, man?
person-
We're together.
Yes.
Dude, Mo freaking Bergman.
Councilor Rivera?
What
Yes.
a fucking
Councilor
guy.
Rose?
Still in the drive-through at Wendy's.
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Councilor Wally?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
I just
Yes,
can't
the
believe
person
that.
here
Mo-
the Commission of Public Works and Parks work with the Greater Worcester Land Trust to seek improvements and or rehabilitation to Roosevelt on Indian Hill Road.
Wow.
Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
As
you.
noted by, Council Brew earlier,
Is it weird that it's a backhoe?
partner, to explore.
It's from
people
Thomas
coming
the
together
Tank
in the
Engine.
spirit of
I was
improving and
trying for
rehabbing our
Mater at
parks.
first, but it didn't feel
I
right.
would welcome that same opportunity here as it relates to this very small park on Indian Hill Road. If you remember, Teddy Roosevelt as a pin oak here in 2016. We had the 100th anniversary of that. We have a missing sign over there and some other small things. It would be nice to bring the Greater Worcester Land Trust in and talk to them about what they're doing or how we can be helpful in maintaining this park. It's really special to the people over in Indian Hill, and I just don't want it to get lost at all. Thank you.
Thank you. See what that Parks, you said? As amended, roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor King? Councilor Merrill Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Rivera?
Yes.
Councilor Rose?
Yes.
Councilor Rosen?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor
Yes.
Wally?
Yes.
Is Christian not there tonight?
Yes, 11B.
It seems like it.
Communication relative to fiscal year
He's on his
2022
motorcycle.
tax classification package. So I think everybody got it tonight, and so it's on the web. It should be on the website by now, I think, on the city website. And so 2 weeks from tonight will be the vote. So we won't be able to hold it. Well, we always hold it, but you'll be putting the city in the bad bind if we held it. So 2 weeks from tonight is the vote. And we'll have a public hearing on the agenda next week if people want to testify, but you can testify the week after if you want to come in here. But next week is going to be on the agenda because we're doing the reevaluation. It's required by law that we have a public meeting on this. So the public meeting will be scheduled for next week and on the agenda. So if you have any questions, please call the assessor's office, Mr. McGurthy, and try to get them answered, and so we can have a good vote 2 weeks from tonight. Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor, on the roll call, do you want to set the hearing?
What's that?
Do you want to set the hearing on the roll call?
Yeah, roll call.
Councilor Bergman?
What the? So,
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Yeah,
Councilor
roll
King?
call.
Councilor Merrill Carlson? Councilor Rivera?
Like when you
Rose?
wake somebody up,
Rosen?
it's like,
Yes.
yeah,
Councilor
breakfast,
Russell?
yeah.
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Yeah, next
Councilor
week,
Wally?
Jenny
Mayor
Pacillo.
Petty?
Yeah, I'm gonna call in to complain about that.
11C is.
I asked her why she's not here tonight, and she got caught up at the grocery store.
The city's newly completed.
No, she's on her best behavior.
Local 490 Nage.
Coward.
Roll call.
That's why she's not. She doesn't. Yeah, she
Councilor
doesn't want
Bergman?
anything to ruin the vote.
Councilor Bergman?
Nope.
Councilor
Yep.
Bergman?
Camera's on, Gary.
Bergman.
Losing my mind tonight
King?
with these people.
Councilor
Are you
Carlson?
kidding me?
Councilor Rivera?
Yes. Yes.
Councilor Rose?
Yes.
Councilor Rosen?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Councilor Wally?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty?
Where
Yes,
did Bergman
12A
talk
to
about where he's
12.
going?
Wendy's.
L and 13.
Mo Bergman is hammered.
The new spicy chicken nuggets.
Motion
He is
to
drunk
accept
driving around the
B,
city
C.
right now,
Motion to
just for
accept.
sport.
Take those on the roll
He's
call.
seeing which residential neighborhood he can get away with driving the fastest in.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor
Good
King?
point.
Councilor Merrill Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Rivera?
Yes.
Councilor Rose?
Yes.
Yeah.
Councilor Rosen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Councilor Wally?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yes. 15A, motions to accept and to adopt.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Calorio?
Yes.
Councilor King?
He
Councilor
paid the
Merrill
extra
Carlson?
$1 to get that free
Councilor
frosty
Rivera?
tag.
Yes.
Councilor Rose?
Yes.
Councilor Rosen?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
Councilor Wally?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty?
Yes, 15B to 15O motions to accept.
Was there any
Council Bergman?
public comments?
Council
Did I miss
Calorio?
anything?
Yes.
Council King?
Public comments,
Carlson?
yes.
Yes.
Council
Yeah, you missed-
What did we?
Rose?
Nothing
Yes.
amazing.
Council Rosen?
We like parks,
Yes.
Council Russell?
and we like pacing around in a creepy
Wally?
green hoodie.
Mayor Petty?
I'm
Yes.
70 years old and I
All right.
bought a house to move to Worcester
16A
2
to
years
L,
ago,
before we take
like
the
a
vote
crazy person.
on
Yeah, that's
16E.
really. I was not expecting that.
John
That
Cook
was
Street,
very
there seems to be
jarring.
some confusion on that, but make it very clear here that handicap parking will not be on Lake Ave, it'll be on Northwood Street and not on Lake Ave. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. So we'll take a roll call on 16A to 16L.
Is Bergman hunting down
Bergman?
illegally parked work
Council
trucks?
Calorio?
Yes.
Council King?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Council Rivera?
He's citizen arresting
Rose?
every
Yes.
day
Council
laborer.
Rosen?
Yes.
Council Russell?
He's
Yes.
he's
Council
finding
Toomey?
people to
Council Wally?
and forcing them to buy their
Mayor
home, their first home.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of the meeting. Wish everybody a
Don't
happy
you know there's
Thanksgiving
plenty of
tomorrow.
market
I mean,
rate
Thursday.
apartments?
And have another wonderful weekend, everyone. Enjoy the day with your families and friends, and we'll see you back next week. So, motion is to adjourn. A roll call.
Council Bergman?
Augustus
Yes.
more isn't even waiting.
Calorio?
Yes.
Council King?
Yes.
Council Member Carlson?
Yes.
Council Rivera?
Yes.
Council Rose?
Yes.
Council Rosen?
Yes.
Council Russell?
Yes.
That's a
Council
power
Toomey?
move. I
Yes.
love that.
Council Wally?
Yes.
Mayor Petty?
Yeah, he walks around like he owns the place because you know what he does.
He does.
Well, there we go, everybody. That was the meeting
was-
for Thanksgiving week.
Ah!
Yeah. I mean,
They
the,
ta- they
the
ta-
obvious, the obvious highlight here, the real takeaway is that Mo Bergman had the nerve to just literally drive around in his car for the entire meeting. Like, it wasn't like he was just driving to City Hall or he was driving to get somewhere quickly during the meeting and still wanted to participate. He was in his car noticeably driving
Yeah,
the
he was,
entire fucking meeting. What are you
Bill,
doing?
he had a tough week. He's in his feelings. He just wanted to, drive up Airport Hill, listen to some Taking Back Sunday, and just fucking belt it out, man.
Does he support keeping public comments online?
No, I think he would
you can call
happily
in.
do away with that.
I think he would.
But he can call in from his car.
Yeah,
to a
right.
meeting.
Yeah. That's just an abuse of the new protocols set up to deal with the pandemic. Like you're gonna just not show up now, you just drive around?
Oh, you're just gonna drive to Foxwoods?
Oh, that'd be so sick if
Twin
that's where he's
Rivers.
going.
Twin Rivers.
Yeah. He's heading down to the comedy scene in Foxborough tonight.
Yeah. He's driving down to spend all the money he just made clearing a Worcester police officer from a domestic violence.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah.
I heard good things are happening over at Ralph's. I want to go check out Ralph's.
That'd be so sick if he came in there.
He thinks it's Ralph's
fight-
Tavern, though.
To
Yeah.
fight you.
Yeah.
Where's Shanker?
Yeah, hand-to-hand combat. That'd be fucking.
Where is he?
I would love that. That'd be so fun. I'd tell that story the rest of
Just
my
biting fish heads.
life. The sewer actually does come up and spit into the Ralph's parking lot, creating all of those puddles. So it may be where he gets home. Yeah, like people think that those puddles are caused by just water, but there's been like a main break there and like some sewer line for years.
Oh,
And that's why
sick.
yeah, you can see it pouring up.
Good to know.
Yeah, right.
He just comes Aquamaning out of there.
Oh yeah. Face me. He has a rat king at his disposal.
So the biggest thing, obviously got tabled for now.
Yeah, was
they
the
pushed off
use
the
use
body
of ARPA
cams.
funds
Yeah.
for body cams. And
So
that is it's interesting to see whether the manager will come back next week with a revised plan for that, or if he's just going to be like, nah, fuck you, this is what we're doing. Because like Petty tried to wiggle his way out of it and be like, well, this isn't the ARPA funding that everyone's talking about. Like, this is the other part of ARPA funding that we got earlier to backfill our budget. And everyone rightly countered with like, well, it's all ARPA funding, and the spirit of ARPA funding is that you use it to help the people impacted the most by COVID-19, and try to make the case that body cameras fit in with that. And you're going to be doing some real mental gymnastics.
Yeah, and the thing is, for him to say like, oh, it's money that was lost, and so it goes into the general fund. It's like, okay, you didn't lose money for body. Like that has nothing. You're just using.
They didn't exist. Nothing was lost,
exactly.
and still nobody wants them. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very, very silly. And it's funny that they didn't even give like a preliminary explanation at all of the tax classification debate, besides setting up the public hearing, which they're legally required to do. But they weren't like, they didn't even bother being like, this is what the tax rate does. This is what we're thinking about. These are three options, you know, and they're not even a cursory conversation or explanation of it. Which is interesting. I really thought they would have talked about that tonight. But I guess they just are tired and don't want to. So that's great.
That's typically why the things don't happen, is because they're just like, meh. I
Yeah,
kind of don't want to.
Who cares?
It didn't really seem like it was a big issue throughout the election cycle either. I mean, it's always there.
No, it really wasn't.
But it usually is the issue, and that probably has some of them shook to be discussing it a little bit. Like that's usually where you've got your bigger constituent groups, neighborhood groups and whatnot coming out together, and that just didn't happen this year.
Yeah, Tim Murray. Tim Murray's always trying to get them to move towards a more uniform tax rate.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like convinced half the council that it should be that way, and then the other half is just like, no, I have to vote for the lowest tax rate for homeowners, regardless.
Right.
So it's a weird thing. It's a very, very weird, quirky problem in Worcester.
We're good at that, Bill.
Yeah.
What we got. That's our thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the really the only thing to really look out for from this week to next week is what the manager does about the body camera thing. That'll be very interesting to see his solution to that.
Yeah, I think pay attention for that, and then obviously be ready to call in about it next week.
Yes, for sure.
One of the call-in speakers, she seemed to be opposed to any funds going towards civilian review boards as well too. Was I mishearing that, or was that? I was a little confused by that.
Yeah, I honestly did not know what she was talking about.
I got her on the body cams, and then she started talking about civilian review boards and.
Yeah, I'm looking. I don't.
It was what I believe it was there was an order in there somewhere about creating a board for the management of the ARPA funds.
Yeah, that's right.
Her point was like that a board for something like that is too small to accurately represent like the concerns of people. And
got it. I misheard it just because the relationship, the timing along the body cams. I thought you meant civilian review board for the police. Yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine it's different. It feels like it's a different thing. I think a citizen review board for the police is.
My story is complete nonsense. I got it.
I wonder about that. What do you guys think about that one?
I'm actually surprised he's still here. I mean, there was essentially, I don't want to say a purge, but it was, a significant number of people in City Hall, in his office left over the summer. I kind of took that as the flag on the field that they were seeking higher ground safety while he was still there.
Yeah. I did text every single one of them that left and ask them what he's going to run for. Like, why are you leaving? What's happening?
Right. Yeah, I haven't heard any rumors that he's going to try to run for something.
I'm still convinced that's his long con is to run.
I'm trying to remember his contract. He's on for at least another year or two. So
I'm so sorry, Ringo. You really truly missed out.
Missed everything.
Yeah, there's some choice screen grabs that Travis will put out. There we go.
I mean, you still have Shaun in the car. It's similar.
Yeah. Shaun
Better
is
mustache.
currently hunting Mo Bergman.
It's a must find Mo.
Shaun, that's dangerous.
You're gonna kill us.
Yeah, I think I'm interested to see what a post Ed Augustus Worcester looks like.
I think that if the council gets more progressive, then they'll seek out a more progressive city manager.
It would be super great if Ed Augustus left like next summer.
Yeah, that would be really good. That would be really good. And maybe we even get him on until the next election cycle, and then if we get a progressive majority, then we're gonna be cooking with some gas there, and getting somebody really qualified to handle the business of City Hall and also have good politics. Because Ed Augustus is just a politician. Like if it was strong mayor style government, he would just be the mayor. So
do you think what are his electoral chances in a place like Worcester? Not necessarily in Worcester, but in a place like Worcester. Is he?
I don't know if he's a good if he's any good at retail politics. I don't know.
The demographics have changed a lot, but if you look at his Senate seat when he was in the state Senate, that's where Mike Moore is now. So just comparison for the voters that put him in office. I think that's kind of a is what? So Guy Glotis, Mike Moore, and Ed Augustus, the people who've held that seat.
Right.
Guy Glotis.
Remember Guy Glotis had that bar?
I do remember that. I think
that was the best.
Yeah, me and Shaun are the only customers that ever went there.
That bar was there for like 6 months. That was great.
Yeah. We went in one time and they had a shuffleboard table that was like pitched almost completely to one side. And we stayed for one extra drink because we felt so bad, and then walked out and never came back ever again.
Yeah. And it was like political themed. It was so cool.
Yes.
There was a cool collection of like ephemera from elections, like
I remember
ballot
that.
boxes and stuff. But like
the best part is he got all of his political friends to donate those to him, and then when the bar closed, he sold them.
That's a boss move right there.
That's Guy Glotis in a nutshell. If you want to explain Guy Glotis in one sentence, that's it right there.
Yeah, right.
My favorite Guy Glotis story is when he was running for state senate, and my dad was working at the Telegram. My dad wrote a story about him in the column, but it was like the second half of the column, so it was below the folds. And Glotis came in red-faced, screaming at my dad at the City being like, "I'm below the fold. You wrote about me, but below the fold." So my dad referred to him from then on in his column as Guy Below the Fold Glotis.
Tim Connolly.
That's a good name for a bar. Below the fold.
One of the things that's interesting about Ed too, regardless of what you think about him, I mean, if you look at his career path, he's never stayed too long in any one role or position that he's had, either as an elected official or private sector or the gray area between the two. That's I'm pretty sure the gig at city manager is the longest he's stayed in a high profile position. I wouldn't be surprised if he was done. That's just the last we saw of him for a while, and he went off to go do something else.
Yeah, he'll get hired by Larry Lucchino to like
mascot,
manage some sort of nonprofit.
Yeah, it would have to be like he would have to be like a Notre Dame style, like just guy in a suit mascot, because no mascot head would ever fit over his fucking gigantic skull.
Yeah, that's right. His
He's got a
cranium
huge
display,
head.
Yeah.
Could be a good take on that smiley ball mascot, though. I mean, he's got the legs
Oh,
for it.
yeah.
Just get him in some saucy red socks. Yeah.
Replacing McGovern, I don't know. Well, hey, that's an obvious career ambition for him. I think that's something that he would consider, right? But like that is, I don't know if he has the political capital to pull that off. That's kind of crazy. I wonder who McGovern is going to pick to replace him. It's not like elections matter for.
Is that how this works? Yeah.
Yeah, and elections don't matter. Are you kidding me? He runs against the craziest people in the area. Run against him every year, like QAnon people.
Yeah, the guy running right now is hilarious.
Yeah, I need to do a deep dive on him. There could be some funny stuff there. And what's his name?
He's posted in the Worcester Facebook boards all the time. I can't remember his name. James something. Supposed to deliver this advent calendar too. Just driving around an apartment complex in Leominster right now.
Wow. That's a sketchy thing to do, dude.
Yeah. Bergman will never find you there. Don't worry.
Well, at least you know how technology works. You're doing it better than Mo. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. I don't really get the sense that Ed likes this universe anymore. I mean, he spent a lot of time dipping in and out of the public sector. I could totally see him ghosting that universe once his time is up here.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
my take. I mean, I know it's fun to think like, what else is out there for him? Like the private sector is probably where it's at.
Please get out of here.
Yeah, get out of here.
But Bill, I mean, you mentioned it earlier. I think that's the real concern. If they the districting does get contentious and the door gets opened on any sort of evaluation of the charter. Again, that's where the folks that are always keyed up and ready to go on charter change, focused on strong mayor. That ends up being the thing that takes precedent there.
Okay, I need to learn more about that process. I haven't been here for one of those, but I didn't know that you couldn't open it for a specific purpose.
Yeah, it's like a review when you do it, and it's what's interesting is that like the council can just do it anytime. The council can vote to open up a charter change commission.
Yeah.
But they've always held off doing that because it's like the council deciding their own fate. So they've always waited for the voting, and you need like a majority of registered voters to come out, and we can't get a majority of registered voters to come out and vote for an actual vote. So getting a majority of registered voters to come out and vote for charter change has always been like a non-starter.
You need a majority of registered
So if someone
voters.
were to put a charter commission on the ballot, I can't remember the exact number, but yeah, you need a significant portion of registered voters to be voting in favor of a charter commission for it to actually get introduced.
Right. Okay.
Which is nearly impossible with Worcester when we're dealing with like a 15% turnout rate.
You would need like 3 times as many people who vote in total to support one thing.
One thing, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so the last time we had one, I believe, was in the 90s. I got a copy of one sitting around here somewhere. But yeah, I think the last...
What, do you just have charter change notes over here?
I just got,
look at that. Yeah.
An old draft copy of the charter. It's yeah. I'll let you borrow this though, because it's actually, if you're interested, it's a good read because this one, this is a draft. It has the notes from the actual commission and the process they went through to nail down the charter. I just can't remember what the date on it was here.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that for sure.
Yeah, we'll get Joe Petty to come in and read this to school children someday.
The charter.
So 1985 is when this went through.
The APA funds.
APA. Yeah. So I mean, I think that's something long term that's really interesting to see where he goes. Obviously, we got some stuff coming up short term. I think that feels like a good place to leave it for tonight, though. It seems like there was a lot of talk and not a lot of.
Not really, not a whole lot happened. Yeah.
No.
But that's usually the case.
Yeah. So we do have a small announcement to make, is that on next week's episode, next Tuesday, if you guys tune in, Attell is going to join us on the stream. So
excellent.
Bill, stop doing that, please. That's so loud.
oh, right. It's the microphone.
It's your microphone. I think, I mean, Jack, we'll see about that. But so if you guys tune in next week, we're going to have Attell on. She can answer our questions more in real time. We can get some thoughts from her on a lot of the different things that are going on, especially, the things she's planning on working on. So come to the stream with questions. Be ready to call in if they are going to take up the body cam issue and the ARPA funds in general. Follow our stream here. Please follow the Wootenanny Twitch. We love subscribers. We're greedy little boys for subscribers. Follow subscribe to Bill's Substack, Worcester Sucks, and I love it. He got a post about nothing tonight. And follow Brendan. Brendan, can you please actually plug your show? I know you say you never do it, but will you just tell people where they can find?
Oh yeah, I mean 508 a show about Worcester. Yeah, I mean we're pretty infrequent with recording these days, but we've done 2 in the last 2 weeks. So maybe we'll keep at it. But yeah, YouTube, Facebook, 508 show about Worcester should be too hard to find.
Great, cool. Shaun, do you have any more calendars for sale, or is that Leominster trip your last one? Oh no, I'm gonna say yes. He definitely does. Venmo Shaun, just Venmo him $20.
Leominster's strict 2G service. Sorry about that.
Just hit him up on Instagram. He's got a few more left. They're amazing. I've seen a couple of pictures. You got a few days left before you got to get going on that advent calendar.
Yes. We have an
Jack,
Instagram now.
Call.
There's a Worcester there's a newsletter Instagram. Give it a follow.
Great. Please support our sponsor, Crafty
I do have more for sale.
See, Shaun does have more for sale. Yeah, so hit him up, get those. We have we want to shout out Matt for supporting us so much. It's been really phenomenal. We love being a part of the Crafty family. So please buy all the kombucha you can. Wootenanny shows coming up on the 9th of December. We have Ho Ho Hootenanny, our live show at Nick's on Millbury Street. We got a great variety show following up on Shaun's Halloween show. Some really great surprises on there. We are doing another D&D stream, guys, on December 16th. We're going to be playing a way more insane game than we played last time. We're going to have a lot of special guests on that. And Doug is coming back if you watched the last one. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. We will see you next Tuesday, everybody. Fuck you, Mo Bergman, you weird piece of shit. Bye.